All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about something called CBAM, the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. Now, on the surface, this just looks like another piece of sustainability paperwork from the EU. But here's the thing. Buried inside this regulation is a ticking time bomb. CBAM isn't designed for how most big companies actually work, and it is quietly about to force a massive shift to real-time data that, frankly, most businesses are just not ready for.
And look, this quote right here, it's not just for drama. It gets right to the heart of this huge disconnect between what the regulation is asking for and what most corporate systems can actually deliver. We're not talking about a small hiccup here. This is a potential breaking point for a lot of supply chains.
And that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? And it's not about your sustainability goals or your annual report. It's about your operational reality. Are your systems, your data, your actual day-to-day processes built to handle the kind of speed and scrutiny that CBAM is about to unleash? Let's really unpack what that means.
See, for most companies, the way they're thinking about this is based on a really comfortable but super dangerous assumption that CBAM is just some distant reporting problem. You know, something you'll manage in cycles, just like all the other ESG reporting we've gotten used to over the years.
I mean, does this plan look familiar to you? It's the standard playbook, right? You get your teams to compile a bunch of spreadsheets, you hire some expensive consultants to build a model, and you circle that 2026 deadline on the calendar. The thinking here is that this is just another sustainability disclosure thing, a world of annual reports and big aggregated numbers. And this is where the whole thing falls apart. That entire approach, treating CBAM like just another reporting task, completely misses the point of the regulation. It's not about the fancy report you file in 2026, it's about the data you have right now when your stuff hits the border.
Okay, this is the one detail that changes everything. You have to get this straight. CBAM is enforced by customs authorities, not ESG regulators. And that single fact moves the entire problem from the slow, predictable world of annual reports into the fast, messy world of real-time transactional enforcement. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Your company might run on a quarterly financial calendar, but a border agent doesn't care. The border operates on an event stream. A shipment shows up, a declaration gets filed, and a decision is made right then and there. We're talking minutes or hours, not months. And when you put them side by side like this, wow, the difference is just night and day. On the left, that's the old world we all know. Slow, aggregated data, where the biggest risk is maybe a little bad PR. But on the right, that's the new CBAM reality. Every single shipment is a real-time test, and the risk isn't to your reputation, it's to your operations and your bottom line. It is a completely different ballgame.
So what this all boils down to is that CBAM is telling your emissions data it needs to grow up and act like your financial data. It has to be accurate, it has to be auditable, and you have to be able to trace it all the way down to a specific item in a specific box. This isn't about telling a good story anymore, it's about hard, verifiable numbers.
And this is a huge wake-up call, right? Because this new demand for financial-grade carbon data, well, it basically puts a giant red flag on most existing company systems. The way large businesses are run simply wasn't built for this, which means your current architecture might actually be a liability. I mean, just think about the rhythm of a typical large company. Everything, and I mean everything, runs in batches. The books get closed once a month. Procurement data gets sorted out every now and then. And ESG data? Oh, that's usually stitched together by hand from a dozen spreadsheets long after anything actually happened. This system only survived because it was never really tested in real time. Look, the old way of thinking, the entire philosophy behind these legacy systems is that things are pretty stable. You can always clean up the mess later, right, during some downstream process. But CBAM throws a wrench in all that. It introduces real-time volatility. The carbon footprint of your goods can change overnight, and you need to reflect that change now, not next quarter. So what you get is this huge tug-of-war inside the company. You've got your sustainability team, and their whole job is to produce perfect, ironclad data, even if it takes them weeks. But then you have your trade compliance team, and they need good enough data this very second to get a truck cleared at the border. Historically, these two groups have lived in completely different time zones.
And then, bam, CBAM comes along and just smashes these two worlds together. Because under this new rule, perfect data that shows up after your shipment has been held up for 3 days is totally useless. That old trade-off between being accurate and being fast, it's gone. Now you have to be both at the exact same time.
All right, so let's play this out. What actually happens when the go-to corporate tool for everything, the humble spreadsheet, comes face-to-face with a customs agent? This is exactly where the theory breaks down, and the real-world failure begins.
We have to keep coming back to this because it's the critical piece people miss. The systems and the people at the border are event-driven. They're not waiting for your beautifully formatted quarterly PDF. They are reacting to one specific, immediate event, the arrival of your goods.
Just look at the speed of this. Shipment lands, declarations filed, data check is triggered, instantly. A flag goes up because the numbers don't match. A decision is made to hold the container. Boom, boom, boom. Now tell me, where in that rapid-fire stream does a manually updated spreadsheet from last quarter even fit? It doesn't.
It's really that simple. The tools that were designed for slow, periodic reporting are guaranteed to collapse when you accelerate the pace this much. They are fundamentally the wrong tool for an event-driven compliance job. Full stop.
And if you think that's bad, just wait for the audit, because an auditor isn't going to just ask for your final number, they're going to tear it apart. They'll ask how you got it, who changed what, and when. And a spreadsheet, it's a black box. It has no real audit trail, no version history, no way to prove your numbers are defensible. It is a catastrophic failure waiting to happen.
Okay, so I know this all sounds like doom and gloom, but what if we look at it from a different angle? CBAM isn't just a threat. It's actually a powerful, non-negotiable catalyst. It's what we call a forcing function for the kind of modernization that, let's be honest, a lot of companies have been putting off for way too long.
So why does CBAM have so much teeth? It's all about the money. It yanks carbon data out of the glossy sustainability report and plugs it right into the core financials of the business. All of a sudden, this data directly impacts revenue, it hits your profit margins, and it can tie up your cash flow in a very real, very immediate way.
I mean, this slide just says it all, right? Picture it. You've got a multi-million-dollar shipment of goods just sitting on a dock, going nowhere because your emissions data is wrong. Suddenly, all those boring meetings about IT architecture and budget priorities don't seem so boring anymore, do they? The problem becomes undeniable.
So when you boil it all down, what are we really saying here? The challenge of CBAM isn't an admin problem you can solve by hiring another consultant or building a more complicated spreadsheet. The path forward is architectural. This is a systems problem deep in the bones of your company, and it demands a systems solution.
And that brings us to the bottom line, the one thing you really need to take away from all of this. If your current strategy is still built around that old model of periodic reports and manual spreadsheets, you're not actually preparing for compliance. You are, quite literally, designing for operational failure. CBAM is not going to wait for your reporting cycle. The real question is, will your systems be ready when it arrives?